Welcome to the fifth episode.
Six. Six. This
Sixth.
is
Oh
six.
my God, it's six already, bro.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly. It
welcome to the
is.
sixth episode of the Second Take podcast. I'm Al.
I'm Alex. And I'm Jack. So today
Um,
we have a lot to talk about. The combine NFL combine is currently in progress with defensive players and tight ends already going. And then we also a bunch of trade rumors to talk about today because there's been a lot of updates with Max Crosby and other guys. So start with the combine, right? So far the positions that have gone are tight ends, DBs, cornerbacks, safeties, defensive linemen, edge rushers, and linebackers.
mhm.
So we've seen some pretty impressive performances so far. One I want to point out first is the linebacker out of Ohio State, Sonny Styles.
He's gonna go crazy. He's a generation talent at linebacker there. Whoever gets him, they're gonna be good
Scary.
at linebacker for a
Yeah, no,
while, bro.
he's maybe the best defensive prospect in a bit. Like, he's gonna be so good. Like, I wish we could have him.
So for
Between
everyone who does
him and
not,
that,
go ahead.
between him and that, Caleb Downs, like I feel like it's a very big defensive draft here, especially with that edge rusher that I forget his name, but him too. I mean, it's a very big defensive draft this year.
Hmm.
Yeah, if you, I'm not seeing his stats, what he's done in combine so far. He ran a 4.46 40 yard, a 43.5 inch vertical, which is insane for a linebacker. 11 feet and 2 inch broad jump, 7 seconds on the three cone drill, and then a 4.26 on the 20 yard shuttle. Bench press he has not done yet. I don't think anybody's done that yet. So,
Now,
but
some people
yeah.
have.
Oh
Yeah,
well,
they've
I'm not seeing that yet. But
David
for
Gusta got 37 reps. Like,
it's pretty good. But like overall, like for what he's done, this guy I could follow up like probably be next Fred Warner if I'm just gonna throw it out there.
mhm, I see that.
not crazy to say that.
I know
Definitely
it's
not.
like Fred is also a beast. So.
Mhm.
So what about some other notable prospects?
I
D'Angelo
mean, Loren.
Pons. I want to talk about D'Angelo Pons too. Also had an insane vert. For a guy who's 5'9", he jumped to 43.5 inches on the vert. What the
That
heck?
is insane. I don't even know how he did that. Like superhuman almost. Get him in the NBA, bro. He's better than DeAndre Ayton. Like,
Hey, bro, he's 5'9". I don't think it's NBA height.
he's better than Gabe Vincent. Like,
That is true. That is true.
All right, this is a football podcast here. Let's stop
Yeah.
talking about Gabe Vincent.
okay, he looks crazy. Yeah. Um, Lorenza Styles topped the 40-yard dash and the 10-yard split.
He seems to be like a top a lot, well, like close to the top for a lot of like the stats here. I mean,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the issue with him is like he like when it comes to actually playing the game, like I haven't really seen much about him having like a high IQ with the game and like replays much, but like athletic, like physically, he's great.
yeah.
Well, I mean, if the athleticism is good, you can teach him the production.
Yeah, another thing about him is that he used to be a receiver and he's still making a transition back to DB, so also gotta put that into factor.
Hmm.
And then like that's other like physical beasts, Eli Stowers out of Vanderbilt, who's tight end, he jumped up 45.5 inches, which tops the vertical so far of the combine.
Oh wait, Eli. Wait, who? Eli?
Eli Stowers out of Vanderbilt. If you remember Eli Stowers, I believe he skipped his bowl game with
Hmm.
Vanderbilt. He skipped it entirely. I don't remember the reason why, but he just did. And in the combines over, he's been great. 451, 40 yard, not bad. 11.3 broad jump, pretty good.
Hmm.
And with him, like I don't think it's like I think Kenneth Sadiq as tight end is way better than him, but I do think he would be like a sneaky fourth round or third round pick for any team who gets him.
I think he looks really good. I could see him. I could like maybe pick him up in fantasy if he's that good. Like the athleticism's there, and I mean he's not good at special teams. From what I heard, because he hasn't done it. But like I that doesn't affect fantasy. So Still could draft him.
Yeah.
And speaking of special teams, a guy I do want to point out for special teams is Chris Johnson, who's a cornerback at SDSU. This guy, I believe he won like the Mountain West special teams player of the year like twice, maybe. I'm not sure if it was Mountain West or SDSU's only, but this guy knows how to be a special teams like returner or a blocker. He ran a 4.4 40 dash. Also point that out. That is fast.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the vert wasn't crazy, 38 inches, 10.6 broad jump, but like just that speed alone, I think will definitely get teams on him.
I think so. But
Another guy I saw was Malachi Lawrence. He did pretty well. I mean, for being an edge rusher, he had a 4.52 for the 40-yard dash, which for a big guy, 6'4", 253, I feel like that's pretty good. Uh,
mhm.
40-inch vertical, again, for being that big, I feel like that's pretty good. And then a 10-10 broad jump. So, I mean,
Okay,
he
yeah.
looks pretty good. Yeah, so
In what world is a guy who's weighing 250 pounds running a 4.52? And in what world is that happening?
he's crazy, man.
I know.
What the hell?
Like same thing for David Bailey at Texas Tech. He ran a 450 at 251.
450. Jeez. Like, how
And
do you even do
he's
it?
yeah, and he's supposed to go first round. Of course, why I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I don't even know.
And they had that guy Zane Durant from Penn State. I saw stuff about him. I mean, I know he wasn't as fast, but he's also like almost 300 pounds. And for being 290, he ran a 4.75 and a 33 and a half vertical jump and a 9.4 broad jump. I mean, he's a D tackle though, so I feel like
Yeah,
that's like it's pretty good
for
numbers
tackle, those are insane.
for being like a nose tackle there. I mean, it's
Hmm.
good numbers.
And as I mentioned
Yeah.
earlier for tight ends, Kenyon Sadiq, I'll go back to him. This guy jumped up 43 and a half inches and ran a 4.39. Obviously, the number one tight end in the class, probably definitely be first rounder. And yeah, where he's going to be scary. I kind of see in his like I was watching some of his like tape, just like bored one day. He kind of reminds me of guys like Trey McBride, with like be able to like the haul and cat passes and they'll like just get yards and that'll be a consistent guy. And then another prospect for safety is Dylan Dieneman of Oregon as well. This guy, he ran a 4.35 40-yard dash and jumped 41 inches up on a vert. And he like for being 66 foot, 200 pounds, and I think from everything second round pick, where I don't know. To what team like what team's been mocked up to most, I have no idea. But with the speed being at 4.35, I think it's gonna be like another sneaky pick, like athletic, like physically, like his
Hmm.
like athleticism will be like one of the better prospects in the draft. And I do think like this combine will really help his stock. Maybe if like maybe even push him in the first round if the teams need him.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a lack of safeties or like safeties are for some reason high demand, I kind of doubt that, but if
I mean,
something like that happens,
I feel like after the first couple of safeties, they really kind of drop off. I mean, Lorenzo Styles is good. Sonny Styles is good. I mean, it's like
Is Sonny a linebacker?
no.
no.
No, he is. It'll
Oh,
probably be
I mean Caleb Downs. I
Emmanuel
was thinking of Caleb Downs.
Caleb Down. Yeah,
Caleb
Downs.
Downs is safety. I mean, there's a couple of good ones, but definitely, I mean, it's not. I don't feel like it's a deep safety class as to where if you're not getting the first couple of safeties out on the board there, you're not going to be able to get like someone in the later rounds that is going to be starting potential. I feel like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This year I've noticed it's been really strong wide receivers at the corners and at the edge rushers. But Weaknesses is like as Jack said, safety. Just like I think like two or three other serious star potential, and then and our weak spot is quarterbacks. This QB class is probably the worst I've ever seen. Like since like we started watching football.
Mhm.
It's really just Fernando Mendoza, and after that, next guy up is like Tyson Hill will probably be a second round pick or a third. Like it's not like the Caleb Williams class where it was him, Bryce Young, all those guys. No, Bryce, not take it back. CJ Stroud and Bryce Young were in the same class, right? But yeah, this QB class is really weak. And even then, like Fernando Mendoza is concerning me because like Indiana this year, they're such a good team. I'm not sure how well they do like with the Raiders, which is probably gonna end up being a Raider. And because as you know, Raiders, there's not much of an O line. Wide receivers are struggling, so I'm not sure how well they do in that system.
I feel like it's
Mhm.
kind of a Joe Burrow type thing. You know, Joe Burrow getting drafted to the Bengals when he did, and I mean, he was a great quarterback. Bengals didn't have an O line; they still don't, but they managed to get him wide receivers around him to be able to make him look good. And I mean, Bengals aren't looking good right now, but it's not because of Joe Burrow. And I feel
Mhm.
like if the Raiders end up doing something similar to that, especially with Clint Kubiak at OC, if they get Mendoza, and as you said, it's a deep wide receiver class, you build. I mean, you could sign a couple of wide receivers. I know that there's the free agent ones aren't that good this year compared to other years, but I mean, if you get some good wide receivers with signings, or if there's ones that the Raiders like in the draft, I feel like him, Genty, and I mean they have like some linemen. I mean Jackson Powers Johnson, I know played good for the second half of the season. I mean, couple things to build off of there. It's not they're not starting from absolute zero.
Yeah, and well, I do hear what you're saying. Like the Raiders, I hope they do good. Like I'm tired of Rams beating them every year. I hope they like finally get to the point where people want them to be, or don't. I don't know. But yeah, the Raiders. I do like how you mentioned Jackson Powers Johnson. I do think he's a high potential prospect, but hasn't really hit that mark yet. And I really hope his like new coaching staff will like help him get to that point where he needs like where he's actually like be a solid lineman. But for now, the Raiders will have to like really like rock this draft and free agency in order to like get something going for next year for Mendoza to come in.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And you know, the Raiders, I believe, only have one first round pick, which is the first overall. So after first overall happens, they better pray like teams that don't take up all the wide receivers, and they end up like I don't know. I do think like a lot of second round wide receivers, second, third round wide receivers are like first round worthy, but just like there's so many other players in the first round that like it's hard for them to get in there. But yeah, this draft is the Raiders. I just want to see what they do with the GM, and hopefully they can turn stuff around, turn the whole team around. So other players I want to point out are the wide receivers, like the wide receivers I was saying before. They haven't done anything on combine yet, but it is a deep wide receiver class. We have guys like Makai Lemon and Jordan Tyson as two first round receivers, and I want to know what you think about those guys.
But Kyle Lemon's from USC, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
USC.
I mean, he's looked good. USC, I mean, he didn't have that great of a year last year, if I could remember, but
Mhm.
they had really good running back play with King Miller, and I feel like I don't know. I mean, if we're talking about just Malachi Lemon as a prospect, I think he's probably on par with some of the really good linebackers that we've seen. Like what's his name for the Giants? Uh, Malik Neighbors, like people like that. Where I mean, he has the potential to get there. I don't know if he's there right now, but he's definitely shown where he can
Mhm.
do something like that.
Yeah, Makai Lemon, like on ESPN, he's about to be the fourth wide receiver off the board behind Jordan Tyson, Cardinal Tate, and Denzel Boston. But I think he'll end up being second wide receiver off the board, if not the first. Like, I think he's the one with the more exciting prospects in the draft class.
Mhm.
Other wide receivers I want to point out for his class that you people like, I feel like fans should like keep an eye on are McCollum's USC teammate, Jacoby Lane, Elijah Surratt from Indiana, who played with Fernando Mendoza last season, and then Pat Hurst out of Georgia State, who I know it's a smaller school, but like I watched his tape too. He plays so much like George Pickens on the outside. It's crazy to me.
Speaking of George Pickens, you see
The
uh,
franchise tag,
franchise
Oh
tag on
yeah.
him?
yes. I think
I
I think it's
think
great for the Cowboys. It's great for them.
I think that's the right decision. Like surprised with the owners they have that they made a right decision for once, but it's a good choice, I'd say. Like
I feel like they
I
need to sign him. That 1-2 punch CD and George Pickens, I feel like is crazy. And Dak being
hmm
able to get the ball to hit to them
hmm
makes their just offense just crazy. I mean,
hmm
um, do they still have that running back, Javante Williams? I mean, I
Yeah,
think
they
they signed him
re-signed
to
him, right?
Uh,
3 year deal,
yeah,
right?
he might be a 2 or 3 year deal from what I remember.
So I mean, they've always had a good offensive line and good running backs, so they can run the ball and then be able to pass. You know, pass the ball out to those guys on the perimeter, on over the middle. Just two great wide receivers, and then they have that speedster, that kick returner, Devontae Turpin. I mean, definitely have some targets out there. I mean, the that offense is going to be interesting to watch. I feel like depends on how their defense does. I feel like if they can improve their defense in the draft, the Cowboys could be a playoff team. I'll go with that.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, I
I do
definitely
know
see that.
that Dallas does need a cornerback now after they lost a few of the guys.
hmm
So Dallas, I think I don't know. Dallas well, cornerbacks could really be anybody, and I believe they're picking up what 16 might be a little higher. I don't remember all too well.
I think they're
Another
picking
guy
after us. I think it's 12.
might be 12. All right. Another thing one guy I want to point out that's a fresh tag is the one and only Kyle Pitts. After all these years being like blamed for the fantasy production and stuff like that, like he got his franchise tag. And I believe that makes like David Njoku the best tight end on the free agency market. So Pitts' last season was much better than what he was before.
hmm
Um, I'm trying to pull up his
I mean,
stats.
there was so much stuff about him in the start of the year. If you guys remember, like, oh, I'm gonna take Kyle Pitts, he's gonna be good this year, like trust, like, and he actually was,
I mean,
like,
me as a believer for just this year only, he had his games, but I mean, he averaged like what 10 fantasy points. I mean, he's not like a consistent tight end one, but
yeah, but I mean, a lot of tight ends this year in fantasy sucks. I'm gonna be honest. There's no
Yeah,
it was a bad tight end
like
year.
yeah. For
yeah,
example, only guy I can think of that was like actually like averaging really high points every week was Trey McBride. But it's also because Trey McBride is like a reception like demon, you know.
yeah. I don't even remember who I had. I probably swapped like 5 times.
I mean, Kyle
Yeah.
Pitts is good. Uh, I feel like next year, if the Falcons end up not trying to sign him, I feel like they don't use him in the way they should. The one game where he put up like 4 touchdowns and like couple like 100, yards was when they utilized him as more of a receiver rather than a blocker. It's like he's a skinnier, not like I mean, as a tight end, you're gonna have to block. You're always gonna have to block, but when you're putting a guy like that who's a good catching threat just to only block and not throw the ball his way like at all, it's just a waste. I feel like
hmm
they need to throw him the ball more.
Definitely
Yeah.
should.
Just to recap for his stats last year, he played in all 17 games, got 88 receptions, 928 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And another funny thing about Kyle
Not
Pitts is
bad.
that every year that he's played, there's been one more touchdown on the season total. Like his rookie year, he had one. On year five, he has five. And between it's like one, two, three, four, five each year, which is it's fun
Oh,
to see.
six
It's fun
touchdowns.
to
We're all in on six
exactly
touchdowns next year.
put it all above 5.5 on the betting line, guys. Everything.
Next episode, you're not gonna see a background. It's just gonna be like the woods because I'm gonna sell my house to support that bet. But
Who
But
else
yeah,
got franchise
that's
tag? Wasn't there another
that.
one?
Just them too.
okay.
You see, they raised the salary cap.
Yeah, which is like it wasn't that much of a big of a increase, right?
It was 22 million for increase.
Okay, that's pretty big.
That is very big.
MLB whenever. find it interesting. I think they want to have guys going to big contracts this year, which is why they did it. And as you know, like franchise tags alone are worth like what, 28 million a year for 1 year.
Think so?
So yeah, I think they're encouraging like those big money moves, and I think like for free agents this year, it's be like the best year to do it because like they're trying to get money. Yeah, they're trying to get teams to spend more.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, um, uh, what's his name? The quarterback that's gonna be the big free agent this year.
Willie Close,
Yeah, he's asking for what 30 million a year. I mean,
that's ridiculous.
That's stupid.
that's too
He's
much. I don't
he's
see
good,
what
but
they're
not thirty
paying
million
him.
dollars. He's good, but not 30 million
He's
good.
not he's not even that good.
I mean, he's good, but like
Not
teams
30 million
thinking he's
dollars
gonna be the
good.
next Sam Darnold is kind of just crazy.
It's just like talk. Like after Sam Darnold, people just want to get these busts because they're like, oh look, Sam Darnold works somehow. But no,
That's what I
Sam
mean.
Darnold is yeah, but it's like not the strat. Like if it was like Cam Ward and like he was a bust in like 2 years, then yeah, like take a risk on him. He could be the next Sam Darnold, but not Malik Willis. He was already a project when he got into the league, and the project failed. And then at the Packers, had a few okay games, and then
Yeah,
kind of stayed.
Well, who knows?
break down the projects. Like there's one company right now, Anthony Richardson, who's been got permission to seek a trade by the Colts. He's been mocked into so many teams. I've been seeing the Vikings, I've been seeing the Rams, I've been seeing what was their team? I think
Dolphins.
Pittsburgh was the last one. But yeah, I think it'll be viewed as a project, and I think like with him, he's applying to like Sam Darnold, right? System that you know he's back to how he used to be.
I mean, who knows? You saw what happened with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, he got tested in Colts, worked out, got
Hmm.
injured, didn't work out.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
Happens.
not
but
his
the
fault. He was
injury,
playing great until he got injured.
I know
yeah,
it's not his fault, but like that just what
yeah,
happened. I'm saying.
and I fully wrote him off. I thought the Giants like made the fully correct choice by moving on, but he's apparently good. So
I think the
Hey, but
Colts
like,
just built around. I mean, they built out an
yeah.
offensive line. They have Jonathan Taylor. They have a good defense. I mean,
Hmm.
they built the tools, and all they needed was a quarterback. Anthony Richardson doesn't pan out, and you get Daniel Jones showing what he can do. So
Hmm. Like he was put in a great situation and he did well with it.
exactly.
and with the Giants, even with the Giants, like they reached on Jackson Dart. We all thought like, oh, that's a bad idea. Like, come on, it's supposed to be like a third round pick. No, he's good. So
Hmm.
like, I think like quarterbacks actually like really volatile, which makes me like all I do honestly the draft is like really shallow with QBs. I won't be surprised if like one of those like fifth round or sixth round QBs like end up being big out of nowhere.
Yeah, I hope the Dolphins can get one of those. That's the hope here.
Yeah, but which one? Because like now, I think another thing that also like really shifted the draft class this year was Trey Chambliss going back to college.
Yeah, that
Like
kind of sucks.
I think a lot of like stuff was revolving on him, like especially in like the second, third rounds. And with him leaving now, it's a bit more of a team's like scrambling for like QBs and reaching on them way too early. You know, like I think a lot of these QBs like Ty Simpson or Drew Aller should be like fourth on guys, but might be end up be taken in the second round. You know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think teams can scout quarterbacks well. Like I don't think people scout like the scouts of the NFL. I don't think they even like scout quarterbacks half the time. I think they're just like, oh, I hope he works out.
The sophomore slump is real, though. You saw Jaden Daniels this year; he did terrible.
Hmm.
C.J.
Not
Stroud, I
terrible.
mean,
No,
I mean, he
not
was injured a
terrible.
lot.
Also,
I mean
this team
injuries,
like
yeah, but
really
it's like
slacked off
I
this
he
think
didn't
year.
play well.
I would say more
no, he
sophomore
didn't
slump
do
was
well. Yeah, but I want to play him.
I would
CJ
say
was
more
worse,
sophomore.
way
CJ
worse.
Stroud, yeah, that's sophomore slump right there.
Well, it's not a
And
slump
That's
if
not
you,
even a sophomore slump.
yeah.
Maybe it was just a one. He sucks in his third year too. Like he's just not good. I don't even know how he went from being the best rookie quarterback like ever to just being below average. And like, what are the Texans going to do?
I think they hold on to him.
Probably.
And then like I think it's just more. Also, if you remember, his O line this year was terrible, so I think it's something to do with it. And yes, I am defending him right now. I am defending him right now. Um, like Houston draft, I think they take a guy like Caden Proctor with their first round pick, which they're late in the first round. And after that, I think
Hmm.
like I think the offense will really shift towards the other way. Because if you remember defense last year, defense was scary. Like the defense was holding guys really close. I think like
Hmm.
Houston's like is literally just the old lineup and then maybe running back away from like being the next big thing. And I think like Houston, I think it's probably like ended up being Ken Walker third and draft O lineman or two in the drafts, and there you go, all offense fixed.
He really just wants
Uh,
Ken Walker to leave this division. Like
I
I
want
don't
Ken
know.
Walker out of
It's
Seattle.
okay. Stroud, it's like I don't know. I mean, you're saying that
it's
like you believe crazy in Shroud.
I do believe crazy, and I think he can like recover. If Sam Darnold
Uh,
could, then he can too.
I don't. Okay, but Sam Darnold moved teams. Like
Good
CJ
point.
Stroud is not moving teams. The reason Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold worked out was because they went to different teams with new systems. They're
and
right
Baker
now,
Mayfield.
and Baker, yeah. Like they all failed in their original like teams and their original systems. The Jets, the Browns, and the Giants, all three of them are historically horrible franchises. So that's why they succeeded after.
Yeah, agreed.
No hate to the Giants.
And I believe that's all I have for this episode. Like, I can't really think of any other guys like talk
I think
about
we went
because
over everything.
yeah, because like with Max Crosby, I was bringing up Crosby, but now Crosby rumors are trying to scale back after the GM said that he doesn't want to move on from him. So
He's
like
not
I
going.
can't
We
remember.
talk about. We don't want to
Yeah,
talk about him
no,
3 weeks in a row when he's not going to
It's
move.
like
exactly.
the Giannis thing, bro. He's not getting traded.
He's not. It's
Yeah,
over.
like Giannis was never getting traded. It's
Okay,
just Shams
hey,
like
hey,
trying to get
NFL,
like
NFL,
clicks.
not NBA, NFL,
I'm
not
too much
NBA.
basketball. Too much basketball. My bad.
Okay, but like, anyways, thank you everyone for watching
Lakers
episode
and pie.
6, and next week probably more draft and trades.
Yeah, draft stuff.